It was supposed to be just another short-haul flight. On January 15, 2009, 155 passengers and crew boarded U.S. Airways Flight 1549 at LaGuardia Airport, bound for Charlotte, North Carolina. The weather was cold but calm, typical for a New York winter afternoon. The aircraft, an Airbus A320, was captained by Chesley Sullenberger, a man with over 19,000 flight hours, and First Officer Jeffrey Skiles, who was flying his very first Airbus route after extensive simulator training. Everything was normal, until it wasn't. Barely 90 seconds after takeoff, just as the plane climbed past 3,000 feet, a flock of large Canadian geese slammed into the aircraft. In a flash, both engines were catastrophically damaged. The cockpit went eerily quiet. There was no explosion, no fire, just a sudden, terrifying loss of thrust. The aircraft was now a glider, with no power and no clear path to safety. This was an event no simulator could prepare anyone for. The plane had only moments before gravity would take over, and the dense city below offered no room for error. Inside the cockpit, air traffic control scrambled to find options.
"Can you return to LaGuardia?"
they asked.
"Unable,"
Sully replied firmly. The closest other airport, Teterboro, was also considered, but it too was quickly ruled out. With rising tension and only seconds to decide, Captain Sullenberger calmly transmitted a chilling message.
"We're gonna be in the Hudson."
No commercial pilot had ever successfully ditched a jetliner on water, not in real life. In simulations, most water landings ended in disaster. But Sully wasn't looking for glory. He was looking to save lives. Below, New Yorkers looked up to see a silent aircraft gliding unnaturally low over the city skyline. In an urban jungle where the smallest error could mean thousands of lives lost, Flight 1549 coasted with terrifying precision. Inside the cabin, flight attendants shouted commands. Panic set in. Parents clutched children. Some prayed. Some texted loved ones goodbye. And yet, the flight crew remained calm, guiding everyone as best they could. Then, with cold precision, Sully aligned the jet with the Hudson River. Not a runway, not a field, a river running through the heart of Manhattan. At 3:31 p.m., just 6 minutes after takeoff, the aircraft touched down on the water. A violent splash erupted. The plane bounced once, then skimmed across the icy surface. Water tore into the underside. Wings shuddered. But against all odds, the aircraft remained intact and afloat. For a moment, the world stood still. Then, flight attendants jumped into action. The emergency doors opened. Slides deployed. Passengers climbed onto the wings, feet slipping in the freezing cold. Others squeezed into rafts. Within minutes, ferries and Coast Guard boats arrived. Local vessels, commuter boats, and even tourists raced to help. Helicopters hovered overhead, filming what would be called the Miracle on the Hudson. Despite the freezing January waters, everyone survived. That's right. All 155 passengers and crew were rescued. Hypothermia set in quickly, but deaths were avoided. Captain Sully, after ensuring that every single person was out safely, walked the narrow aisle one last time before stepping off the plane himself. The last to leave. His actions, and those of the crew, were hailed as heroic, and rightfully so. But the story wasn't over. In fact, a controversy was brewing. The NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, launched an immediate investigation. Simulations were run. Some analysts claimed Sully could have made it back to LaGuardia. Could he have avoided the water landing entirely? But when the simulations included real human response times, the 30 to 40 seconds Sully had to assess, confirm engine failure, and make a decision, the truth became clear. He made the only viable choice. Even when test pilots tried to recreate the landing under perfect conditions, most failed. Sully's cool-headed response wasn't luck. It was experience, instinct, and leadership in its purest form. Flight 1549 wasn't just an aviation incident. It became a case study in training, leadership, and emergency preparedness. It changed how water landings are taught. It redefined what makes a great pilot, not just technical skill, but the ability to stay composed under life-threatening pressure. Sully himself said,
"I've delivered 1,000,000 passengers safely over my career. This one just happened to be in the spotlight."
But the world disagreed. This wasn't routine. It was extraordinary. Captain Sullenberger became a household name. He was honored by presidents, featured on late-night shows, and even had a movie made about him, starring Tom Hanks. But he always shifted the credit.
"It was a team effort,"
he often said. And in truth, it was. From the flight crew's quick thinking, to the passengers' cooperation, to the ferry captains who rushed to the scene, this was humanity at its best, coming together in the face of disaster. Today, over a decade later, the Miracle on the Hudson still stands as a reminder, not just of what went wrong, but of what went right. In a world where aviation disasters often end in tragedy, Flight 1549 gave us hope. Hope that even when technology fails, human courage can prevail. It's a story that teaches, inspires, and continues to move millions. Because sometimes, a hero really does land a plane on a river and walks away with every soul still alive.